They say the heart of steel is forged under the greatest pressure. For Metallica, that pressure came not from external enemies or time, but from expectations of themselves, fans, and their legacy. After years of experimentation, in November of 2016, the band delivered Hardwired to Self Destruct, their 10th studio album. It's a record that both looks back and moves forward. This album is thrashy, raw, reflective. But today, we're diving into the story behind Hardwired to Self Destruct, how it came to be, what it meant, and why it stands as one of Metallica's most important chapters. Okay, let's take a look at my CDs. You're probably wondering why I had two identical copies. That is because when my wife bought tickets to see them in concert, they gave away one CD package with every ticket, and she bought two tickets, so I had two CDs. And I'm glad I do have two CDs, because I remember I got this as a Christmas present, and I remember opening it, and I opened the first CD, and I remember pulling the CD like this, but I didn't stick my finger here to release it. I just kind of like grabbed this and pulled it really hard, and this CD snapped in half. That's why these two are empty. I don't know what happened to the other one, but I remember breaking the first CD on the first night I had this. I'm so glad I had a second copy, because I would have completely ruined my CD. But let's look at the one that's complete. So basically opens up here with the artwork of all those faces, and here are the two CDs. I don't have the 3-disc one. I would like to get it because I do like some of the songs, especially the Deep Purple covers and a couple other ones. So I like that a lot. It comes with a book. I haven't really opened this in a while, so let's see what's inside. I think it's mostly pictures. So the book looks like that. A lot of those photographs similar to the album cover, and basically all lyrics and all photos of the different members. And I guess these are just pictures taking that were maybe possibly to be used for the album cover. This one's pretty cool. I like that one. And basically it's just all lyrics until we get towards the end. We have more lyrics and liner notes. Shows who Metallica is, who did the mixing, the production, and all other liner notes. There's Robert there. There's the back cover. Back to the video. By the late 2000s and early 2010s, Metallica was already a band with decades behind them. Their 2008 album, Death Magnetic, marked a return of sorts, a dense, ambitious record, heavy with thrash roots, but also not without criticism over production choices, and whether it truly captured the fire of their 80s heyday. After Death Magnetic, the band didn't immediately rush into the next studio album. Instead, several side projects was Lulu, a collaboration with Lou Reed in 2011, which polarized fans in a way few Metallica projects had ever before. Another was Through the Never from 2013, the Contra film. In interviews, Lars Ulrich, James Hetfield, Robert Trujillo, and Kirk Hammett spoke of writing, working, and not wanting to force anything, and the gap kept growing. It became the longest wait between studio albums in the band's career up to that point. Work on Hardwired to Self Destruct began to take shape around 2014. The band experimented with new ideas, but also revisited the core of what made them Metallica. Those were the riffs, the aggression, the melody, and the dynamics. They released a standalone single called Lords of Summer in 2014. It was kind of a teaser. It was just a song that would later make its way onto the deluxe edition of Hardwired. But then came a major setback. Kirk Hammett lost his phone in Copenhagen airport. Inside it were around 250 riff ideas, many of which he had been collecting for future songwriting. Without backups, much of this material was gone. As a result, this became the first Metallica album since Kill 'Em All in 1983 that does not feature songwriting contributions from Kirk. His role shifted. It was more performance, solos, and leads, not really the riffs. James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich did much of the writing instead of it. The album was produced by Greg Fidelman, who, along with James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, Fidelman had worked on Death Magnetic as an engineer and mixer. There was some continuity there, but a conscious desire to sharpen things and deliver something with impact. The recording took place at Metallica's own HQ in San Rafael, California, from roughly mid-2015 through mid-2016. Hardwired to Self Destruct is loud but also complex. One of its unifying themes is self-destruction, the idea that many of us are hardwired or conditioned or cursed to repeat mistakes and let our flaws define us. From the album's title, which comes from a remark James Hetfield once heard, Hardwired to Self Destruct, to lyrics across the song, there's a sense of fatalism mixed with momentary defiance. Because of Hammett's loss, many riffs came from Hetfield and Ulrich, but Hammett still delivered in soloing lead breaks, tonal color. His playing adds texture, even if the songwriting credits read differently. Bassist Robert Trujillo has one writing credit, the intro to Men Unkind, which was later said to be a tribute to the band's late bassist Cliff Burton. Lyrically, the album doesn't shy from darker human themes, drug addiction and overdose, pitfalls of fame, media scrutiny, cosmic horror, mortality. There are also some tributes. Murder One is a tribute to Lemmy, Man Unkind is a tribute to Cliff, and Hardwired and Spit Out the Bone echo the earliest thrash roots in speed, aggression, and destruction. Musically, the album is massive, 2 discs, 12 standard tracks, nearly 80 minutes of music. It moves between unrelenting thrash songs like Spit Out the Bone, which is one of my favorites, and Hardwired, to some slower, heavier grooves like Here Comes Revenge, Dream No More, and some mid-tempo with atmosphere and melody such as Halo on Fire and Atlas Rise. The band wanted a sense of variety, but also a strong sense of identity. This is Metallica, both old and new. Even the visual presentation is part of the story. The cover art for the album features a composite of the 4 band members' faces. You see pieces, eyes, teeth, noses all blended. It looks strange, kind of unsettling, but also familiar. The artwork was done by Studio Herring and Herring. The idea reportedly came from something done as a gift to Lars Ulrich in 2015, then expanded. The collage of faces visually echoes themes in the music, which includes identity, fragmentation, multiple sides of self, and distortion. The title Hardwired to Self Destruct sets the tone. It implies inevitability, fate, internal wiring that perhaps leads one towards destruction. Despite one's best efforts, Hetfield heard someone utter Hardwired to Self Destruct, and it stuck. It captures the paradox: we are born or built, we learn, we survive, but perhaps we are also doomed by our nature and the systems around us. In 2016, Metallica officially announced the album and simultaneously released the lead single Hardwired. Over the following months came more singles: Moth into Flame, Atlas Rise. The album was released on November 18th, 2016 via Metallica's own label, Blackened Recordings. It appeared in multiple formats: double CD, double vinyl, deluxe editions. The deluxe edition includes extra tracks, live versions, covers from Iron Maiden, Deep Purple, Ronnie James Dio, and special tie-ins. I actually don't have that album. I have the one with the 2 discs, not the 3 ones. But I would like to get that someday. I really like that. But commercially, it was a success. It debuted at #1 in many countries. In the US, it sold very well. First week sales were strong. It went platinum. Fans and critics, while not universally in agreement, generally saw it as a strong return to form. A lot of reviewers saw it as Metallica finally reconciling their past. It had both the raw energy of their early years with the maturity of their later years. So it was kind of a little bit of everything. The reviews said that the album was long and bloated in some parts. Even the second disc received more mixed responses, and I kind of agree with that personally. I always thought the second disc had some filler, but the first disc was near perfect. But it has some highs, it has some lows, but I also thought that the last song on the second disc, Spit Out the Bone, was their best song since the 80s. But so what makes Hardwired Self Destruct more than just a Metallica album? Why do so many fans and critics mark it as particularly significant? I think first of all is the legacy and the expectation. After years of mixed reception and weird experiments like Saint Anger and Lulu, there was a question whether Metallica would still be delivering something authentic and exciting, or even release anything at all. But Hardwired answered the question with confidence. It didn't really bow to nostalgia, but it showed us nostalgia and also what made them great. But there's also the factor of the risk and the loss of their music. I'm talking about the iPhone And that's the loss of the riffs, the shifting the songwriting dynamics, and their age, physical demands of playing heavy music, changes in the industry, and how the bands really release music. This was right in the middle of the peak of streaming, so there were lots of challenges, but the band was able to navigate that and produce something that was pretty good. I also thought the album has some rawness, also maturity. It's not their rawest album ever made, but it's kind of a balance. It's heavier, faster, more aggressive than a lot of their stuff before this. But the production, songwriting, and weight of the album really shows that the band is growing and maturing. And I think the fourth thing is the relevance. Metallica is one of those bands from the early thrash era still relevant in their mid-career. So Hardwired didn't just play to older fans, it brought in new listeners. It sounded contemporary, but it also sounded like their old school stuff. So in many ways, the album showed that Metallica still could thrash, and it demonstrated that their age didn't really mean a thing. And that one more factor is their longevity. The album's success was across many countries. It had great chart positions, it won awards, and songs were staples in the live set. This affirms that Hardwired isn't just a footnote, it's a key chapter in their discography. While we can't cover every song in detail in this video, there are a few songs I want to talk about. First one's the title track. This is just short, fast, raw, it's all thrash. It's basically Metallica saying, hey, we're still here, we can still thrash. The song clocks in at 3 minutes, 11 seconds. I remember when this one came out, it just randomly appeared on YouTube, and I remember checking it out and posting it on Facebook. Then there's Moth in the Flame. This is more about dangers and flame. Not flame, it's about fame. It's about excess. And the lyrics show a darker side of what it means to be seen, to be desired, to burn too fast, basically to burn out. So this is more new wave of British heavy metal. It's a little slower. This is the one that Lady Gaga sang with him. I think it was in the Grammys. And my favorite song, Spit Out the Bone, the last song on the last disc. This is just an awesome song. It's about technology, extinction, machines, a little bit of AI, something like that. Machines turning on humanity, it's all that stuff. But this is the best Metallica song released since the 80s, in my opinion at least. And a couple others. On the second disc, there were some decent tracks like Murder One, Tribute to Lemmy. It's pretty simple, raw, and direct. It's more of just a straightforward metal track, but I thought it was good. But I always thought this album is pretty good. They played it live. I saw them live on this tour. I think it was like their 5th show. They debuted on one of the songs. I think it was Dream No More. It was the first time playing that when I saw it in Mexico City. It was on there maybe like the 3rd or 4th night. And this led to the band being silent for about a couple years. But they released some stuff like S&M 2. And then they released 72 Seasons, which was actually 2 years ago. It kind of doesn't seem that long. But this album basically encouraged fans and critics to reconsider Metallica. A lot of people just think that Metallica aren't good anymore. A lot of people gave up with them after And Justice for All. Some people gave up with them after the Black Album. But I've always been a Metallica fan. I've always liked this. And I was really excited when this came out. I remember just wanting to listen to it and buy it. And actually got it as a Christmas present. My wife bought the 2 tickets to see the concert, and it came with 2 CDs. So that was always cool. So that's all. I'm going to end this here so this doesn't get too long. Let me know, what do you think of Metallica's Hardwired to Self Destruct? Do you like it? Or have you given up on Metallica? So thanks for watching. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Check out my review of 72 Seasons, which is 2 years later, revisiting it. I did this on this channel, my vinyl channel. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you in the next one.